Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In today's video, I have a few statements I want to debate with you three fine gentlemen. What we're going to do is we are going to read a statement and we'll raise our hands at the same time, giving a score, and then we'll talk about who thinks what way and why. So in this episode, you have me, Scott, Phil, Chris, and Jeff. Ty will be back next episode. Good to have you back, Phil. I know you were here earlier this week, but I think we missed your thoughts last week on this video. It was a lot of fun to do. So with that being said, first question. First statement. Let's see if you agree with it. Aaron Judge will have more hobby relevance than Bryce Harper in 10 years.
Ooh, and 1 is disagree with the statement. 5 is
5. I agree. Aaron Judge is absolutely going to blow out Bryce Harper. Okay. 1 is Harper's better. Harper will have more than Judge.
Okay.
Pretty hard one. Okay. 3. That's a hard one. I don't know which way I want to go. Okay, only rule. None of us can put 3.
Oh, damn it.
For this one in particular, we had to pick a side.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All fours. We all think Judge is going to be more relevant, huh?
Which is crazy because if you had asked this last year or any time in the previous years, I would have been at a 1.
Yeah, I'm shocked.
Judge's big season, I would have been at a 1, but proving that he could do it again, and he's just really setting a hobby floor. The fact he's doing it in New York, and now maybe we'll see him do it in the postseason. I got to go with him having relevance.
Chris, you put 4 up. Let's see it.
I did. I mean, I wanted to put a 1. I really did, but the only way Harper could possibly compete in the long run is if he gets a World Series in Philly. He's got to lead that team to the World Series, hold up that World Series MVP trophy, and somehow Judge never wins one in New York. And those two things, it's possible. That's very possible. But I don't know. They're both just going to be in the playoffs probably every year for the next 6 years. So odds are that one of them is going to end up with a trophy. We don't know which one yet.
I think you're spot on. I think whoever has the World Series and has a bigger postseason performance for respective team might be the winner in some ways. But I don't know. Phil, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say 10 years from now, we'll look back and we'll be like, postseason had nothing to do with it. Whoever is the victor, in my opinion. But Aaron Judge, Yankees lifer, probably quickest to 300 home runs despite his age. Still quickest to 300 home runs. So you can't take that away from him. And I mean, this is another 10 WAR season. You keep on doing this, you get to 100 pretty quick. And you know I'm all about the WAR. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of ways this could go bad. So you have to look at like the downside. Like, how could this go bad for Harper? More inconsistency, more, seasons derailed by injury because the way he plays, even being a first baseman, could happen, even though Judge is the guy you think of as being a little bit more injury prone probably because of his body and everything. Okay. The shtick of Bryce Harper maybe just gets old in Philly where we just want to buy a player who's just a nice guy, the captain of the Yankees.
I will say, though, with Bryce Harper in regards to Philadelphia, I think the only way they'll be worn out of Harper is if all of a sudden he can't hit in the postseason and he doesn't win one in his career, and then he slows down because his contract's very long and he wants to extend it. He's already tried to extend it with Boris. It's like, I think that's like the route that could hurt him, but I think his hobby's baked in with Phillies fans. I just think Judge has had better seasons. And he has the home run record, and I do think that he'll be equally loved by Yankees fans. He's been bad in the postseason, and that's been a kind of a negative with some Yankees fans. But again, we talk about this. In the moment, postseason matters. It matters less in the long run. A lot of all-time greats weren't that good. And then a lot of David Freese exist that were very good, and that's about it. And you don't talk about them as much. So,
yeah, it's crazy. Like, Aaron Judge has almost 2 times the home runs Bryce Harper does right now on this season. Like, it's crazy to think they're even in the same conversation. And Harper just he plays first base. That's why I feel like he has to do something extra special. Like he needs to do something different. But Judge is, I think, the bigger concern. I still think any fly ball hit the center field that he's out there could be the last fly ball that
I will say
bad 7 people don't run around the outfield for too many years before their bodies shut down.
A bad defensive center fielder is more valuable than a league average first baseman. And that's what's going to hurt Harper with WAR and a lot of stuff too. And I think that's something that his move to base was kind of hard for him and a lot of his rate stats in regards to WAR and stuff. So, okay. I think we all agreed. That was nice. Let's see if I can find one that we won't all agree with. I would rather own one high-end, ultra high-end card of my favorite player versus 10 high-end cards of my favorite player. So the best card ever made or like the next 10. Equally valuable in value. What are you taking? Let's say the one's worth 100,000, the other 10 are worth 10 to 15,000 each. 5 is the high end. 1 is you would take the multiple.
Okay. All right.
On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Now. I'm taking the best card of a player that ever exists. That's the card that I think is going to have the most value in the long run. Everything else is second place. Phil, you agreed with me. Let's hear why before we pass it to the blabbing folks.
Yeah, it would have been harder for me to choose if I could spread it out across 10 players to like manage risk a little bit better. But if it's going to be in the same player anyways and super concentrated, I want the best. I want to be able to set the price at the end of the day. I want to have his top card. I wish I was in a position to do so, to do that with some of my favorite players, Otani, Soto, etc.
I totally get that. Oh, Buttons.
Buttons is here. She was barking. I'm sure you heard her, so I thought I'd just bring her in.
I completely get that, and I was definitely torn between 1 and 5. It wasn't going anything in the middle. I guess for me, it's just I like what Phil said about mitigating risk with other players, and for me, this is mitigating risk, life risk a little bit. You have a little bit more liquidity, easier to sell if you need to make some money. So that's why I'd go with that. But I completely understand wanting the best card. It makes a lot of sense.
I think the collector side of me won out. Like, so Freddie Freeman would be my example. Like his finest Superfractor 1 of 1 was up on, I think it was Nice Collect, upper auction. And there's a world where I could have sold my entire Freddie Freeman PC and gone after that one card, but I just couldn't do it. Like, I love all these cards. I love the red rookies, the blue rookies, we have a gold Bowman Chrome Auto, which is awesome. I love the gold rookies that I have. The top's black. Like, I like the variations. I like all the different options, and it's fun to just look at them all. And at the end of the day, I collect Freeman, and I want to see all the cards. I feel like think about this, but I would get bored just looking at one card, even if Finest Superfractor, as beautiful as that card was. I think I just need the variety. If I sold all those, I would just end up looking at them on eBay and looking at other people's Instagrams and missing them, and I'd want them back. So the one big card is cool, but I don't know. I'd rather have all the multiple. I like having the variety of Freemans.
If I could trade the Billy Butler Superfractor, this is the question you got asked, like, right? So Billy Butler, I love him. Well, sounded weird. I like collecting his cards. If his Superfractor autograph came up and I had to trade every single card that I owned for it, I would have a hard time doing that. I agree. But I have thousands, so it's a little bit different situation. But
you could also just take the change out of the cup holder in your car and buy that Billy Butler Superfractor. Like, that's another way.
Whoever has that card, I will pay you more than it's worth. Just that one particular card. If you're listening to this conversation, the good thing, this wasn't a part of the question, so I can't hold this against you. And I can't say this is why I voted this way. But you can always buy back about 90% of those cards that you're saying, though, Chris, if you get the ultra high end.
I have never seen. All right, so one example: Freeman's Topps Chrome Red Refractor Auto was the first card I bought over $500 after I got back in the hobby. Jeff actually found it for me on Blowout. I think I paid $600 for it. That was in early 2020. I think I have not seen one for sale since. So it's not that easy. Like, when you play or collect and you get deep into it, like, these things don't come up. Like his Atomic Auto, I've only seen one, and it's the one that Jeff and I own.
His purple that I sold you, you've probably only seen that one.
Yeah, I've only seen the non-auto we got from you, the auto that we have. We saw that one other purple auto at a show once. Yeah. The guy wouldn't even take it out to show it to us. He's like, you can look at it through the glass. Like, all right,
that's what he said.
Yeah, and then he wanted like $8,000 for it, which was a little ridiculous. But I mean, I don't think the hard to find stuff is always going to be hard to find. I've only seen his Topps Black come up like once, and it's up on
that
eBay
card.
right
I've never seen either. I've only seen like 1 or 2 Hope Diamonds too.
Yeah.
One just sold for
an outrageous price and like
$3,500,
some made up slab. But
yeah,
that's why another thing too. Like, I just like I said, the variety gets me excited.
Cool. Okay. Any final?
I do like what Jeff said about the liquidity though, and especially if it's a modern player, a current player, the ability to like take some off the table during spikes. I do like the smaller cards for that for sure. Go ahead, Scott.
No, that's it. I was just going to have my next question. There's 3 more that I wrote down.
All right, let's go.
Juan Soto's hobby will double if he signs with the Yankees in the offseason. Double's big, but my point is Juan Soto's hobby values will explode. Let's say that will get in your own mind if that's 10%, if that's double, if he signs with the Yankees in the offseason.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, now. You don't think so, Phil?
It might already be baked in at this point. I mean, like, the Yankees have everything they can do to keep him. He likes it there. He performs well. He's very key to the team. It's a win for both sides. So is it already baked in? 1. 2 is, I think it's a boon to his values. I just don't know if it's something that he gets right away. And Judge is there's room on the Yankees for 2 players in the hobby, but Judge right now is number 1.
Yeah, we're talking about him beating Bryce Harper. He'll absolutely beat Soto for right now.
Yeah.
So,
I would say, like, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just going to say that there's a lot of people that we've talked to, Yankee fans especially, that are very gun shy about going all in on Soto until he signs. So I do feel like there are some people that it isn't totally baked in, that there are some people that when he signs, they will go all in. Yeah, explode. I don't know. I don't think it's going to double, but I do think it'll establish a floor and it will go up. Yeah. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, he's been on 2 other teams before, but he was on those 2 other teams when most players are in like double and AAA, and he was putting up ridiculous numbers. But what Jeff said is basically what I've heard from a lot of Yankee fans. Like, it's very anecdotal, obviously, but a lot of them don't want to pay for his cards yet because they're afraid. They're afraid that, that he's not going to be there for very long. And yeah, if he goes to the Giants, his market is tanks. If he goes to the Mets, probably his market tanks. I think we all know that. I think that probably is why we're a little bit hesitant on buying Soto long term. So I would say that, yeah, if he signs with the Yankees, then, I mean, yeah, I think he can still get his number out there in Monument Park. I mean, if he puts up huge numbers there, and he certainly will. No opt-outs, though. He's got to sign and sign. Like, he can't sign and have an opt-out every 2 years. But yeah, I think his market will blow up. I think those Yankee fans will want it then.
I mean, I think it goes up materially if you had worded it that way. I just don't know if it explodes, which when I hear explode, I think like 30% plus increase short term.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This one is more for the Blaffin folks, I think. SSPs will never be the same due to bad imagery and overprinting. So SSPs, the golden era is over.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Now. I'm in the middle. I think
I'm really concerned. I am really concerned, not about the overprinting, because I still think they're hard to find, but these images are making me like physically ill when they come out. Like, it's just terrible. Just laziness and no effort and crappy pictures. If I see one more goddamn shot of Yamamoto with his like jersey over a hoodie talking into a microphone, I'm just gonna lose my shit. There's no other way around it. Like, I can't handle it. Like, Otani is arguably the most exciting player in baseball this year. And, he has an SSP of him sitting on a stage talking to the media. That's what Topps thought collectors wanted. And it baffles me what they're doing. I don't know. I'm trying to find someone at Topps I can talk to offer my services. I will do this for astonishingly cheap. I would love to be like their image consultant, card image consultant, not any other image consulting, but it's frustrating because some of these come out and collectors talk to Jeff and I, and they message us and they're like, "Oh, we're really excited. I want to see these." Like Sapphire has SPs for the first time ever. We're really excited to see what the checklist is. Great. Let's see what these pictures are. And one after the other, it's just, it's like they're choosing pictures just to piss us off.
Yeah, that's a huge issue number 1. Another issue for me is that they're putting variations in everything, so it's getting a little more confusing. Every set is now. I like the addition of the the photo variations to Sapphire, as Chris alluded to, although I don't like the images. But the fact that they're putting it in every product, putting SSPs or photo variations in all the products, is diluting the importance a little bit and just sort of taking away the impact of what the SSPs used to be. So I feel like that golden era that you're talking about is over, sadly.
Yeah, you look at like some of the other parallels, like Topps Chrome Gold, and at least there's only one Topps Chrome Gold. at least there's only one Bowman Chrome Auto Blue of a certain player first. But with short prints, like you guys are saying, like this dilution, like you can't really separate the products as well with short prints. You could have 80 different short prints of a player and 80 different products. And like, what's the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I think they went from cards for collectors building sets in a very limited number of products. A lot of flagship is where it started. And now they're catering to the dopamine hit to give a little bit more gasoline, into the person that's opening product X.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. I do think that the older SSPs, like especially from 16, 17, 18, when those images, they put effort in, those images are great and they all tie together with players all doing kind of the same stuff.
Teams, right?
Yeah, we have seen prices on those just continue to sort of steadily rise, and when they come up for bids, people still go bananas for them. But yeah, there's too many in everything. There was at the Burbank show, a guy was selling a Gunnar Henderson image variation that was red. And it was like, there was no speckles. It was just red. And he listed it as image variation. And I was like, what is that card? And he's like, oh, that's the SP. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like they didn't have true color variations. Like they only had speckles. He's like, no, it's from Update. I'm like, no, it's definitely not from Update. He didn't know what it was, what it really boils down to. He had just bought it. He had no clue what it was. We figured it out. It was the complete set Chrome variation that does have red out of 5 variations. So the dealer that bought the card didn't know what it was. There's too many image variations. Like there's just too many. So the ones that have the really good pictures, the really good images, those are going to stand out. And Series 1, the gold mirrors, like I'll be honest, like 90% of them are really good. Like Aaron Judge tipping his hat after the 3-run homer, for example. There's a lot of cool Gatorade bath shots. Mookie stinks, Freddie stinks, but there's a lot of like really, really good ones. And those still sell. Those still command a premium. I've seen that Aaron Judge card break $300 on eBay pretty regularly when it comes up.
I don't
that's
think
what it's going to take. It's just the ones with the good images are still going to be popular. The stupid gala shots of Zach Gallen wearing a cardigan, no one wants that. No one's going to pay anything. It doesn't matter that it's rare.
I've accepted that Mookie's never going to have a good image variation again. It all stopped with 2018 or 2019 Stadium Club. The 2020 Hollywood's pretty cool, but that card is impossible to find and worth way too much money. I bet one would go for one would probably get close to 5,000 right now. I bet.
I haven't seen one in over a year. I haven't.
The last one for like 3,500, didn't it?
Yeah, PSA 10. Yeah.
I bet you'd get to 5,000. So, okay. Any final thoughts on this? I have 2 more questions.
Yeah, I agree in the photograph specific sort of value. That's what it's exactly that. That'll still be there. Like I think Bowman Chrome Sapphire 2022. I could be wrong, but the first time they might have done image variations for rookies, and even though it was the first time, like J-Rod, pretty cool pose, like Bobby Witt, pretty cool pose, and those stood out, especially from in the short term. Those sold for pretty high amounts.
Yeah, they did a cool thing with those cards too. They're both like kind of low angled, and they sort of like faded out the backgrounds. So it's just the sapphire design behind them. And then I think Bobby Witt's, like they both have kind of bright colored jerseys. I think Julio's carrying the bat. Like those look great. And you're right. People wanted them quickly.
All right. Next topic. Next question. 1940s to 1960s vintage baseball cards are going to drop in value by 2045 due to less collectors wanting them. Let's say 2050. Do we think vintage has a shelf life? Is kind of what this question is. All right. Hold your fingers up. 3, 2, 1. I think 4 only for a majority of the stuff. The Mickey Mantles, the Willie Mays, those guys will be fine. But I think a lot of the second and third tier, I don't know. It'll be interesting. There's a lot of them out there. And I don't know. What are your thoughts? Phil, what are you thinking?
Yeah, same as you, Scott. High-graded cards of superstars, well-centered cards, rookies especially. I think they'll hold up pretty well. I don't know enough about vintage or enough. I haven't really thought about it or the demand side of things to understand if like Warren Spahn and Stan Musial, if they'll hold up, but certainly Mays Mantle, etc. The supply, some people will argue and say that it's actually quite a bit for those years, but not high-graded, well-centered, and high eye appeal copies, in my opinion.
Okay, Jeff, you had a 1. Why
I did. Yeah. I'm worried about the supply and I'm worried about the trimming and altering cards. I'm worried that that's going to play a role. And So we are going to see some high grades come to the market that are graded recently, and people are going to wonder, are they really high grade, or are they high grade because they've had work done to them? So,
but you agree. You actually think there's real risk.
yeah. So I guess I think there's more risk than you do. I think there's even more risk than you do. Yeah.
Okay. What did you say, Chris?
I said the middle. I was right down the middle because I think what Phil said about essentially, Phil, if I paraphrase incorrectly, let me know. But you said like the very best looking, best centered, best conditioned cards of the best players from the best sets will hold value. I mean, I would say that statement is true unilaterally across all years and all products. I mean, in 40 years, if Gunnar Henderson becomes like one of the 20 best players in the world, his Bowman's best, green refractor still won't be worth a damn thing. So, I mean, I would say the same thing. Like Mickey Mantle's always going to be popular, but yeah, look, I would say Musial probably also always popular. Warren Spahn, maybe less. Like a Jackie Robinson card, for example, should over the long term never lose value. Like the historical significance of that should always be really, really high. But like Andy Pafko's 1952 Topps card, is super valuable because it's card number 1 and hard to get in top condition. I could see that over time. Even now, I would imagine maybe 2% of people at a card show know who Andy Pafko was.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's good. And the last question: Shohei Otani will hurt the long-term collectability of Mike Trout, or has hurt the long-term collectability of Mike Trout. Okay. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, Phil, you are actually, I want you to go last because I don't want you to persuade any of us in our opinion. What do you think, Chris? I saw 5 fingers.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Shohei Otani, if he wins he's got 3 MVPs here. So that's 3 in 7 years. If he wins it again next year, or the next couple of years, that's 4. Anytime a better player comes along, the previous great player is probably going to be overshadowed for a little bit. There will come a time when we go back and we look at Trout's career and we put it into perspective. I'm like, oh my God, like this guy was incredible. But that's not going to happen when he's limping off the field in May of every single season that he plays. So, I mean, I maybe I overstated Shohei Otani's blame in Trout's hobby because Trout's body, unfortunately, has a lot to do with it. But as long as Otani's doing what he's doing, no one's going to be talking about Mike Trout.
Okay.
Especially because the Angels are bad again.
They're real bad. Jeff, what are you thinking?
That's kind of where I fell as well. I mean, Otani, I believe he could hurt the collectability of a lot of players because of what he's doing, and he's making their accomplishments or diminishing them in some ways a little bit. And I think that's the same case with Trout. I just hope he's on the field. I want to see him come back and play strong. But if he doesn't, I feel like, that he will be overshadowed by Otani, at least in the short term.
Okay. And you can make the argument, Phil, I'm going to go first because I agree with them. I think you can make the argument Trout's going to hurt Trout more than Otani's going to hurt Trout. But Otani has come in when Trout was like the best player in baseball. He was. Like, undoubtedly, people viewed him as such. Even if he was hurt, we would still say he was the best. Judge would be the competitor. But Otani has really overshadowed what Trout did a little bit on the same team at the same time, essentially. So I think that might hurt.
Yeah, you could say that Otani's hurting everyone's market.
Yeah. My next follow-up I had was Shohei Otani will hurt Mookie Betts' long-term market, but we'll talk about that in a moment. What are you going to say, Phil?
Yeah, maybe I'm just answering this more out of emotion, just being mad at Mike Trout. And it's exactly what you said, Scott. Like, he's hurt himself more than anybody else could ever hurt him. Yeah. A follow-up on that is there was a point in probably middle of 2021 when the Angels did have 3 of the most expensive Bowman Chrome autographs all at once with Pujols, Otani, and Trout. So cannibalization, the fact that they were on the same team, the fact that he was overshadowed, a little bit, but the hobby effect, probably not a lot. Also, Trout was a generational player of the generation before Otani when he was generational, in my opinion. So 2010s belong to Trout, 2020s belongs to Otani. But I can definitely see the arguments here, and I kind of want to change it from a 2 to a 3 or 2 to a 4 in that the 3 MVPs, most active players. I mean, Otani is going to have him tied there and probably continue to mash him. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think he helped accelerate the decline of Trout more than him really just screwing him over. Like, Trout today would be valued the same with or without Otani because of.
Do you think that? Because I actually think it'd be higher right now. Well, not by much. Like, it's his fault he's this way, but we would still view him differently, I think, right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if Otani wasn't there, then we don't have any generational player right now. Then it's Aaron Judge.
We would say
Judge,
Judge.
Juan Soto, who is, kind of the 1B guy. Acuna's disappointing. Bobby Witt just had his first amazing season. So I guess if there's nobody there to replace Otani's dominance, who's going to win the MVP is nobody. Just leave it blank. You know what I mean? So
got that right.
I there's always going to be a guy that's at the top of the league, I feel like. But I guess if Otani wasn't there, then maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe Vladdy Jr. with his MVP.
Juan Franco still playing baseball. They find a way to bring him back.
The baseball butterfly effect. Otani caused Franco to do everything he did.
Yeah, I'll probably edit out most of that stuff, by the way. But yeah, I think you're right,
Wait,
Scott.
what stuff? I think it was good.
There's a limited amount of hobby budget and it has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
I think it would go to Trout. I really do.
It's like NVIDIA or Microsoft or Google. Like one of them doing well will pull out some money, not all of it, and they are correlated to some extent, but yeah, one big dog will affect the other ones for sure.
Yeah, like I'm not a huge NFL collector by any means, but I'm assuming that if Tom Brady never existed, Peyton Manning's cards would be worth a hell of a lot more money than they currently are.
Well, you probably have more Super Bowls. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Okay, how about Mookie Betts? Do you think Otani is going to negatively hurt Mookie Betts?
I'd say no. I think he's actually going to help him because I think they kind of excel in different areas. Betts already has established himself as the player he is. I don't think now that Otani is here and is in LA, I don't think Betts is going to be the all-time best player, but he sure could still be one of them. He could still get to 100 WAR. He could still have some multiple championships, multiple MVPs, and frankly, his numbers are boosted by having Otani. So that's just a help for his overall resume.
Yeah, he should help him get RBIs, should keep him in the spotlight. Like, yeah, I would say having Otani on the team. I know there's like we talked about, but just now what Phil was saying with the Angels, a little bit of cannibalization. And there are like three, superstars on the Dodgers that bat right after the other. And I feel like, I don't know, we're going to see a lot of them over the next like 3 years. So I just can't see Otani hurting Betts. I think Otani can raise those people on that team, those other players, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think like intuitively you'd think that he would hurt Betts by overshadowing him, and Dodgers collectors, might prefer Otani over a guy that was just on the team for, a smaller number of years. Well, I don't know how long their careers will last, but I think with Betts, he sort of just blends in wherever he goes. I'm a Red Sox fan. You might not know this about me. I actually have a Red Sox hat. I don't wear team hats, so I don't get paid by them. But in 2018, he was nasty. We had him when, the first part of his prime, right? And I think some days, and I responded to a comment saying this, you might have thought I was joking, but I kind of wasn't. He's the opposite of a peacock. Sometimes you'd forget that he was in our lineup and that we had a top 2 player in the game. Sometimes you'd forget that he was that good. Yes, I think we widely recognize that he was the best player on our team, but he just has a way of going about it to just be humble and be in the background because he's an introvert. He's just, he's not a dude.
He's not an introvert, but he's definitely flashy. He's not flashy, right? Because like he'll do the ESPN interviews. He'll have his own little podcast. He likes to get out there. He likes to be in the public eye, but he's not. It seems like he's so even keel all the time that he's not really having fun, even though he is. That's just who he is. He's very consistently not high or low. I think that's what hurts him.
I don't know. There's a Stadium Club card from 2021 that shows him pretty high after he robbed Ozuna in the NLCS, going crazy. And we get that walk-off. It's Monday, by the way. He hit a walk-off home run to win last night. He was going nuts around the bases. It would be a fantastic SSP image that we won't get. But yeah, I feel like when we say he's not flashy, I think like the hobby just looks at home run totals. And Betts just has like one of the best all-around games in the league. And I feel like when you look at, league leaders and stuff, you might not see him in the top 5 in the main newspaper categories. And that's probably the thing that keeps people from acknowledging how great he is.
He's top 10 in everything, not top 5 in anything. Yeah. He is in some, but I know what you're saying. I understand that. But yeah, so that's what I was wondering. I actually think like Betts was already second to Trout. So now I think Betts could be second to Otani. Like, right. Like it's one of those things where I don't think it's going to hurt him too much personally. And I actually think it's going to help him not be so stressed out to be the guy in every big situation. I think last night was a great example where he hit that walk-off home run. I don't know if he hits a game-tying home run there, but the game-tying home run is already hit. So who cares what he does now, right? The pressure's off of him more, in my opinion. So I think that it's going to help having Otani. And I think Otani, if the Dodgers get swept and Otani and Betts, like last year, Freeman and Betts were both bad in the postseason, but you don't hear much about Freeman, but you hear about Betts. I think if Otani, Betts, and Freeman are all bad, you're going to hear all about Otani. So I think like he's going to take a lot of the success or the failures. He's going to take all of that, and I think that's going to help Mookie perform better as well. So,
yeah, I could see that.
So I think
And
the
it's how
Trout
he wants it.
conversation, the Betts conversation, very different, but it could have been Trout's own fault. But like, brutal fall of Mike Trout. Nobody would have predicted this 5 years ago. At least I wouldn't have predicted what's happened. It's crazy.
No, he might not get 400 home runs. Like, it's crazy.
I would take the over there, but he definitely will have a hard time getting 500 home runs.
Yeah.
That's the crazy thing. So, all right. Any final thoughts on any of these topics? All righty. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Let us know. Thank you for watching, everybody. We appreciate it. Let us know in the comments down below if there is a topic you would like us to discuss on this type of episode. We might do these weekly or bi-weekly moving forward, so we would appreciate any input. Other than that, we will see you in the next video.